Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here with Malik, curators of the Classified Archive. We left acoustic weapons research last time at the stakes are high, and the human cost of these technological advancements demands careful examination. Today we pick up where we left off. The investigation into acoustic weapons remains incomplete without acknowledging the key players involved. Dr. Robert Becker is one of the most notable figures. As a physician and a bioenergetics researcher, he emerged as a vocal critic of acoustic weaponry in the 1970s, raising alarms about its implications. His groundbreaking work in bone regeneration not only advanced medical science, but also informed his ethical concerns about using sound as a tool for harm. We must consider how such innovations can be twisted in the hands of those who wield power.
But it's essential to understand what drove Becker's criticism. His 1985 book, The Body Electric, wasn't just a scientific exploration. It was a wake-up call. Becker highlighted the real dangers of acoustic weapons. He warned that using sound waves as a means of control could lead to irreversible harm. This wasn't just a theoretical concern. He saw the potential for these technologies to be used in real military operations, putting countless lives at risk and reshaping the fabric of society.
Exactly. Becker's words resonated with many, especially those alarmed by the militarization of science. His advocacy for ethical considerations in military technology was passionate and urgent. At a 1976 conference in Berkeley, he boldly challenged the military's experiments with sound as a control mechanism. It was a bold move that caught many off guard. This is where his influence began to amplify, forcing us to confront the moral implications of our advancements. We really have to ask ourselves, what are we willing to sacrifice?
But let's not forget the deeper implications of his challenge. Becker's critique wasn't just some academic exercise. It was a heartfelt warning about the very real risk of compromising human autonomy. He stood firmly against the growing military enthusiasm for acoustic technologies, raising alarms about the ethical transparency we often overlook. His concerns weren't just theoretical. They echoed the stories of those who could be harmed. This moral stance laid the groundwork for a movement that aimed to protect lives from these dangerous innovations.
On the other side, we have Colonel John W. McCoy. A former U.S. Army officer, he played a key role in developing the long-range acoustic device at DARPA. McCoy saw acoustic weapons as a way to provide a non-lethal alternative in military engagements. His perspective highlights how technology can serve dual purposes, offering both restraint and power. It's a reminder that the tools we create often reflect our intentions, for better or worse.
That belief is where the controversy really starts to bubble up. Critics argue that McCoy's faith in acoustic technology could open the door to serious human rights abuses. Sure, protecting lives while keeping things operational seems noble at first glance. But in reality, it often hides deeper ethical dilemmas. When you think about it, there's a delicate balance between defense and control, and sometimes it feels like the people caught in the middle are just forgotten.
Documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act revealed some disturbing internal memos from DARPA. These memos laid out the potential use of long-range acoustic devices, or LRADs, in crowd control situations. One memo from 2006 pointed out that the ability to disperse crowds with minimal physical harm could change the game for urban policing. It's a chilling reminder of how power plays out in our cities. We can't ignore the implications of this technology on civil liberties.
But this isn't just about technological advancement. It reflects a troubling mindset that puts control above community safety. Documents like these reveal the alarming potential for abuse under the guise of security. We have to remember that these strategies can easily lead to violations of basic human rights. Becker warned us about this. It's not just theory. Real people suffer when we prioritize surveillance over understanding, and that's a cost we can't ignore.
Another key figure in this story is Mark Phillips, a whistleblower who worked as a military contractor. Back in the 1990s, he stumbled upon shocking evidence of classified testing of acoustic weapons on civilians, particularly during crowd control exercises. His findings didn't just raise eyebrows. They forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about the ethical boundaries of military experimentation. We have to ask ourselves, how far are we willing to go in the name of control?
Philip's actions were driven by a strong sense of moral duty. His testimony about witnessing a blatant disregard for human rights truly shocked many who heard it. The documents he shared from military sources detailed the use of LRAD technology during protests, including those infamous WTU protests in Seattle. It's a stark reminder of how these technologies impact real lives. When people stand up for their rights, they shouldn't have to face such overwhelming force. It's about the human cost, the stories behind each protester.
And those implications cannot be overstated. The psychological trauma inflicted upon individuals during these crowd control exercises is significant. Victims often report severe disorientation and pain that lingers long after the events. When we look closely, we see how technological advancements, while often lauded, can leave lasting scars on both communities and individuals. It's a harsh reality that echoes through history, reminding us that the cost of control can be paid in human suffering, which too often goes unacknowledged.
These stories are so crucial. They remind us that with every technological advancement, there's a human cost we can't ignore. Take the local teacher from Baltimore, for example. She lived through the nightmare of LRADs, and her experience isn't just her own. It represents the collateral damage that often gets overlooked. We need to make sure her story, and stories like hers, drive our conversations about the ethical use of technology. We can't let them be just footnotes in history.
As we dissect the narratives of Becker, McCoy, and Phillips, the complexity of motivations and beliefs really comes to light. The stakes are high when we talk about acoustic weapons. The ethical implications stretch far beyond military strategy. We can't just focus on tactics. We have to think about how these technologies impact society. We must remain vigilant about the consequences they bring. History shows us that innovations often lead to unintended outcomes, and we need to consider those seriously.
That's where we leave it this time. And acoustic weapons research continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Classified Archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.